Hey everyone. Hi, my name is Max. I'd like to tell you another scary story today. Becky Bink was born on November 19th, 1981 in Quincy, Illinois. Her parents are William and Bernadette. She went to Pawson Seymour Elementary School and then Quincy Notre Dame High School with her older sister Sarah. She worked hard and was determined, and these traits showed throughout her life. Becky got a degree in biological science with a minor in chemistry from Quincy University, where she graduated with honors. Her first job was at a drug business, where she quickly became one of the top sales reps. Becky was doing well as a medicine salesperson, but she had bigger goals. She wanted to become a nurse. Becky went to Blessing Green College of Nursing and Health Sciences and did very well there. She finished with the highest honors. Becky started working as a nurse at Quincy Medical Group after she graduated. At first, she worked in the gastrointestinal surgery area. Later, she moved on to Blessing Hospital and started working in their emergency room. Becky worked as a journey nurse during the COVID-19 pandemic, which showed how dedicated she is to healthcare because of how hard she worked. She was nominated for a Daisy Award in 2020. Even though Becky had a lot of success at work, her family, especially her kids, was her top concern. During her time at Quincy University, Becky met Tim Brock. This was the start of their journey together. They moved to Chicago at first, but then they came back to Quincy, Illinois, and got married there on November 8th, 2009. Becky loved her three boys very much. She made them clothes for Halloween and took them to school events, sports games, and other things. She also committed herself to many volunteer activities, such as planning lunches and dances and helping out at her kids' school events. Even though Becky did well at work and had great relationships with her kids, friends, and family, her marriage to Tim was harder than the rest of her life. Becky and Tim had been having problems in their marriage for a while, but in 2020, the problems got worse. It became clear that they had different ideas about how their marriage should go forward. When it came to saving their relationship, Becky was very determined, but Tim wanted something different. Becky really tried to fix their relationship by suggesting that they go to couples therapy, family therapy, and talk about their problems openly. The main thing that drove her was to keep them married for the sake of their children. She made it a priority to give their kids a safe place to be where both parents could be present. Even though Becky kept trying to get them to talk about their problems, Tim was still set on getting a divorce. In this case, Becky was very aware of what Tim thought. In the end, Tim started the divorce process in January 2021. Becky put in a number of brief orders or requests at the start of the divorce process. First, she wanted Tim to give her back her 9mm handgun, which she said he had taken without her permission. If Tim couldn't return the gun, Becky demanded that he pay her back the $1,800 she thought it was worth. Furthermore, Becky was adamant that her kids should not associate with Tim's dad without her supervision. During the divorce procedures, Tim asked for a 60-40th split of custody in his favor so that his father could have unsupervised visits with the kids. He also wanted to stop paying child support and take back the house they shared. But when Becky looked over these terms, she quickly turned them down. She then put in a protection order against Tim and his dad. After that, Tim got back at Becky by getting a restraining order against her as well. It was getting close to February 23rd, 2023, and Tim was allowed to see the boys. The plan said that they would switch custody on that specific day in the days running up to it. That day, Becky was supposed to pick them up from school. Tim tried to get in touch with her by text message and phone call, but he couldn't. He called Becky's dad, William, to see if he had heard from her because he was worried. William said that he hadn't talked to Becky all day, which was bad news. Tim told William that Becky was supposed to pick up the boys from school that day, but she wasn't answering when he tried to get in touch with her. William tried several times to get in touch with Becky, but couldn't. He was worried about her health. William was getting more and more worried, so he decided to do something about it himself and drove to Becky's house. He saw that the front door was open when he got there. William was already feeling uneasy because he knew Becky was very good at keeping her home safe. Seeing the door open made him even more uneasy, which meant that something might be wrong. William went into Becky's house and called her name as he looked around the downstairs area. He went to Becky's bathroom. After going upstairs to her room, he was horrified to find his daughter lying on the bathroom floor, clearly hurt from being shot several times. William ran to a neighbor's house to call 911 because he had left his cell phone and was shocked and upset. When they heard the call for help, emergency workers and police came right away. When the police looked at the crime scene, they saw pieces of plastic lying around Becky's body. A towel and an ice pack were also discovered in her underwear. It was also close to her that several bullet holes were found. The autopsy on Becky's body was done by Dr. Scott Denton, a forensic doctor with a lot of experience. He said that Becky had surgery a few days before she was killed, which is why she was wearing surgical pants and support pads. The compression pads, which are meant to soak up blood, stopped the blood from pooling around her body, which explained why she wasn't losing much. The results of the autopsy showed that Becky died from 14 gunshot wounds of different types. There were 9 shots that hit her in the chest, 3 that hit her right arm, and 2 that hit her left hand. Dr. Denton found that none of the gunshot wounds were quickly fatal, but Becky did die from internal bleeding. One of the shots paralyzed her from the waist down, and another went through her lungs and made it hard for her to breathe. She died because she was paralyzed, bleeding inside her body and having trouble breathing. As soon as the cops started their investigation, they saw that Becky's bedroom window was open on the second floor, which could mean that someone had broken in. 8 bullet casings were found around her body, which suggests that more than one shot was fired. However, the case was made harder by the fact that fingerprints were not found anywhere in the house. More investigation showed that Becky's bedroom door had been broken, which suggests that the attacker tried to close the door but was unable to. Becky's cell phone was found behind her bedroom door, which shows that she tried to call 911 for help. The police found something very important when they found a crowbar on the bedroom floor next to a shoe print on the carpet. Their guess was that the wrench was used to break open the window on the second floor and get into Becky's room. Talking to Becky's neighbors did not reveal any reports of strange behavior in the early hours of the 23rd. Late in the morning, Becky's neighbors did notice that her front door was left open, which they thought was strange. An important piece of proof was the video from Becky's neighbor's security camera. The camera caught someone coming up to Becky's driveway at 1:05 a.m. on February 23rd and then leaving at 1:53 a.m. Unfortunately, the position of the video made it impossible to figure out who the person was. However, the time matched what the cops saw on Becky's security system, which showed that her front door was open at 1:13 a.m. on the same day. Additionally, the police heard from Becky's son's school that Tim had called them on the 23rd to say that he couldn't reach Becky but would be picking up the kids instead. With these new insights, it became easier to picture what happened before Becky's sad death. At the start of the investigation, there wasn't much physical proof for the police to look into. Even though they put together a bunch of strange events that happened the night of the crime, they didn't have any real evidence to help them figure out who did it. On the other hand, after Becky's sad death, people who knew her started to come forward and give police information. Several of Becky's friends and family members went to the police after her sad death to say that she had been worried about her safety in the days before she died. She told a few close friends and family that she was worried about her ex-husband, Tim. Becky even told people that she thought Tim would be responsible for any harm that happened to her. Some friends and family members heard Becky say that Tim's threats came from his desire to keep her from getting to his money after they got divorced. Tim would have problems with a lot of his assets, like the house and other things he owned. Becky was told, "You'll never see a penny of my money." If you think about what happened, it's not surprising that the police first focused their search on Tim. At first, the police got a search warrant for Tim's house and searched it thoroughly on March 1st, 2023. During this search, they took a lot of things to look at more closely. The first things the cops found at Tim's house were crowbars. One was in the basement and others were found all over the house. All of them were later gathered together. The police also found 27 gun casings in Tim's basement and were able to match them with the ones they found at Becky's house. This important finding showed that the shell casings found in both places were the same, connecting the ones found in Tim's basement to the ones used to kill Becky. Also, the police found other disturbing proof in Tim's residential area. A notebook with hand-drawn pictures of someone breaking into a house through a second-story window was one of the things that were taken. There were a lot of similarities between this drawing and what happened with Becky. There was also a homemade doll made from a cloth glove that was full of bullet holes that the police investigated. These things being there gave us more information about how macabre Tim's plans were. In Tim's home, Google search history, there were also some disturbing words such as how to kill someone and not get caught, and 14 ways to murder someone and get away with it. To make things even scarier, Tim had rented a truck from a moving company, which police thought had been used in the crime. With a lot of proof, the police quickly caught Tim and charged him with murder in the first degree, burglary, and home invasion. But the research led to an even more shocking discovery about why Tim did what he did. He hired a life insurance investigator to look into Becky's insurance plans, according to reports. The results showed that Becky had bought life insurance for all three of her children for a total of $1.5 million. The main beneficiaries of these measures were her children. Tim wanted to keep Becky from getting to his money, and he also wanted to make sure that his kids got the insurance money they needed, which seemed to be the main reasons for this horrible crime. During the hearing, more disturbing information came to light. With the help of his new girlfriend, Tim had carefully planned how to kill Becky. Their plan was to make Becky's death look like a suicide so that they could take over the large life insurance policies that Becky's children owned. In a very disturbing turn of events, Tim tried to persuade Becky that they could get back together, but then he committed the horrible crime. Tim was found guilty of all charges and given a life sentence without the chance of release in May 2023. In her closing comments, the judge said that Tim's actions were planned and driven by greed. She stressed that Tim's need for money had sadly taken over his role as a father, causing Becky's family and loved ones to lose someone they will never get back. Some people will do horrible things to make money, and Becky's death is a scary reminder of how dangerous people can be and how important it is to be alert and deal with possible threats to your safety.